Hello, and welcome to Thrive 0.6.5 Release Thrive Stream. I am Thim. I have actually done nothing code-wise to contribute to this particular release, but I have a mic, so I am talking. So let's introduce some of the more useful people. Just starting with my upper left, we have, is it Aaron McKirsch?
Aaron M. Kirsch.
M. Kirsch. Okay.
Yes. You can just refer to me as Aaron, though. Hi, everyone. I recently joined the sound team, and I made a theme for the hydrothermal vents.
Very cool. We have not had new music in some time. Next up, we have C09. I believe you have Mike. That is
No
unfortunate
mic.
if I am wrong. Okay, no mic. C09 is a programmer. May I ask what you have worked on this time around, if anything? I want to make sure credit is where credit is due. Okay, with some prototype dynamic environment things. I know dynamic environments have been a bugbear that many have attempted to slay, and we heard from some of those programmers again, so I wish you the best, 09. Then we have a longtime developer, Game Dungeon, who, as I recall, does not bring a mic to these. Game Dungeon, I know, is working on some Auto Evo stuff, which is always near and dear to my heart. So that was cool to see. I don't know if there's any other stuff you would like to take credit for in this release specifically. Then we have Hirlenin, the legend, our lead developer, and the one who always puts together these podcasts at the last minute. We all thank you for your contributions.
Yeah, I'm really good at just arriving on time on the stream and doing some live corrections to the window captures here to fix some offset issues, because sometimes Discord wants to show me this like a menu bar, like file edit, that kind of menu bar for some reason, so the window is taller sometimes. Anyway, I guess I should again say the usual, that I'm the lead programmer. I do a lot of the programming work on Thrive, and also reviewing others' work and doing various other stuff that needs to get done, but there's no one else to do them.
And we have, forgive me if I get this wrong, Juzo Lens 214?
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
I'm one of the theorists, so I help out with the various scientific stuff for the game. And there's not a lot of theorists that sometimes get into these, so I like to try to do these as often as I can, and it's the third one I've managed to do in a row so far.
Very cool. And finally, we have... all right. Pen, finally. We have Titan, who I believe does not have a mic. Titan, you're probably going to have to type out what you have done recently or want to boast about, because I can't recall everybody.
Have I joined at an opportune time, by the sounds of it?
Yeah, you pretty much came in last in time production. I hope that doesn't make you feel devalued.
It's all right.
Excellent. Well, let's get some of Titan's contributions on there. I don't want to discriminate too much against the micless folks. And then you will be the last, so think of a cool introduction, Oliver.
Cool.
Titan is typing.
I again forgot to start the music bot, but I did it now. Does anyone hear it, or Is it broken again?
I can hear it.
Okay, so it's just so quiet for me.
If you right-click on revolutionary music, you can turn up the volume on your side.
In other news, Titan was actually working on some of the biggest stuff, our Fog of War and our Organelle unlocks that we're going to be going into later. Two of our really cool and very visible changes with this new release. So thank you very much for that. And then finally, unless I have missed anyone else, we have our expert of wikis and their generation, Oliver.
Hello, yes, I'm Oliver. I've been doing many things for Thrive over the years. So yeah, music, but more lately programming stuff, and yeah, for this release, stuff to do with the Thrivepedia mainly, including yeah, as Tim said, stuff to do with getting the wiki content onto the Thrivepedia.
All right, and so with the introductions out of the way, I think we can move on to bragging about some of our biggest features, which I think is probably best I step back from the mic for a little bit for this, because I think we got some really cool stuff to show off and people that can talk about it more passionately than me. Any volunteers?
I think we're going to be waiting a while for Titan to type out quite a bit of that.
I made a horrible mistake.
I mean, we can cover the main ones quite quickly anyway. So I guess the biggest feature of this release was the Organelle unlocks, as Game Dungeon has helpfully just posted a screenshot of. So yeah, in a weird way, it's kind of restricting what is available for the player to use, but adding more gameplay options in the process. So certain organelles in the editor are now only available after you hit particular thresholds and various criteria for them. But the option is, yeah, you can disable or enable that in new game settings as you need.
I've always liked the thought of the Evolution Thrive being a little less of a shopping cart scenario. I think it helps break away from our spore origins into something more of a process as things come along.
Yeah, it's definitely linked to, I guess, the real world examples of evolution and I guess the development of various features of microbial life, such as, yeah, the development of mitochondria via endosymbiosis. I think that's going to be quite an interesting one that we can use Organelle unlocks to do in the near future.
We always hear that word getting passed around. It's getting dangerously close now. No promises, but it's getting dangerously close.
Just, yeah, be careful about saying that word in front of Irolainen.
Sorry, which feature was that?
Nothing.
Endosymbiosis.
Sorry for the echo, by the way, on stream. I was seeing if I can hear my own mic buzz somehow, but I don't think I will be able to. I'll need to check later why it isn't working.
Hello.
Oh, I think that's this.
Yep. Finally. It's working. Finally.
Yeah. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh yeah, I help with game design. I've been inactive recently, but here I am. So, yeah, happy to be here.
Nice. Yeah, so we just explained Organelle unlocks at a high level. Should we explain Fog of War as well? I suppose that's the other major feature of this release.
Already talking about invisible stuff.
Yeah.
Suppose so. So yeah, the Fog of War is, well, yeah, it was another feature that Titan mostly worked on in the end to add some mystery to patches that aren't directly connected to the one you're currently in. So yeah, it kind of does to exploration what Organelle Unlocks did to building a cell. So in a weird way, the two major features of this release are kind of both involved in removing some abilities from the player to make things more interesting. But again, this feature is toggleable in the new game settings. So if you prefer to have everything available to explore straight away, then yeah, you're still free to do that. Then yeah, should we go through the various other small bits? I can talk about the Thrivopedia changes.
Yeah,
So-
usually we cover like all of the major highlights from the patch notes at the start.
Yeah, I'll cover the Thrivopedia changes then, because I ended up doing a large amount of that. So I mean, this was mostly in the last release, I suppose, was the actual mechanics for it, but there's been some updates to allow extra bits to the formatting, such as interpage links. So the Thrivopedia, for anyone unaware, is the big central store of information inside the game. It's like the in-game encyclopedia, basically. And currently it's got loads of pages for organelles with content taken from the wiki, our online wiki. And yeah, it's now got lots of new shiny things like links to other pages and hovering over organelles in the parts list in the editor. We'll show you a hotkey you can use to open that page, that organelle in the Thrivopedia. So yeah, there have been a few kind of quality of life improvements for that this release.
If I can ask you a question, Oliver, since you've
Yeah.
heard about this stuff for so many years, being the oldest member of the team, is this what you originally imagined the Thrivopedia would look like? And did you ever think you'd be coding it?
That's a good question. I think it probably matches, what I thought it would look like in a kind of abstract sense. Obviously, I wasn't imagining the exact UI of it, but it's still very much a work in progress. So we've only got the organelles in there as actual wiki contents. We've got some of the pages, like the museum. The museum's always been the plan, but that was added a few releases ago.
I always loved the jazz music in the museum.
Oh, but that's in the art gallery, I believe. The museum is
Oh.
just one of the pages in the Thrivopedia. You could listen to the jazz music anytime.
Yeah, let's just pretend I said that.
And then I suppose, the last of the bigger areas was further performance improvements, so kind of improving on last release. I think Herolainen is probably best placed to explain the specifics of that.
There were a few things I thought would increase the performance that I didn't have time for before the previous release, so I did them for this release. The most major of which was making it so that the main microbe simulation uses 2 parallel execution threads to run the various game systems. And of course those game systems then themselves can dispatch their operations onto multiple threads. So this new extra threading mode improves performance a bit, but not as much as the 0.6.4 release, but now I think I've squeezed about as much performance out of the game as I can.
Which we should all be very, very happy about, because I know that's been quite a sticking point for people's enjoyment of Thrive in the past. So I know I'm very happy to see it.
Yeah, hopefully it will be worth it, because these performance changes took basically 2 releases, or like 2 release times to make. So instead of having 2 releases in 6 months. We only had 1 because the performance changes were so huge.
Another Herculean effort from Arlena.
It is
Do we have-
always the toughest to go back into established code and change how things are done. So easy to just get stuck on your path and leave things as they are.
Do we have by the way, an outline for how these things usually go? Because I tend to forget what we're talking about at the exact moment.
You mean for the live stream?
Yeah.
Well, we have a simple outline is that we start with the introductions, then we talk about the release, the main features, then we go to the various restream questions and taking questions from chat. And then the last step is to talk about something really random and chaotic and then end the stream.
Okay, fair enough.
So start planning your random and chaotic conversations now.
Yeah,
I'll
we
jot it
need
down.
we need
you
a
know.
good clickbait title for the stream.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we've done the first couple of steps then, because that's all the major changes for this release. There are a few other small bits we can mention, such as I've got, looking at the devlog now. So hovering over a species name in the patch map shows you a preview of that species, which I've been told is actually quite helpful when people have been playtesting. Auto Evo predictions in the editor show energy instead of population as kind of the main metric for species success. So that reduces confusion over that. I know there was lots of confusion that people had when they saw their population going down and assumed Auto Evo didn't like them, when in fact it was just because their cell was bigger and therefore, each individual required more energy. There's a new music track. I believe Aaron Kirsch did that one.
Hello.
Yeah.
Some changes to how Pili. Suddenly realised I don't know how to say the plural of that. How the pilus damages other cells. Some more hotkeys. One thing I've realised isn't on this list, now looking at it, there's now a hotkey to eject ingested matter, which is quite useful if perhaps you're being poisoned by something you've eaten.
Yeah, that was something that was requested quite a while ago.
And various other small bits and pieces. So all of the patch notes are linked from the latest devlog if you want to go and look through all of them.
Do any more devs really want to show off something that they're really proud of in this release?
Welcome.
Hey, y'all.
Yeah.
It's Captain Colon. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Owen, you there?
Hey, what's up? Did I miss something?
Yeah. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm Kevin Cole, and I'm just sir. I'm pretty wasted right now. Why don't we just go back to the stream?
Okay, cool. We were just talking about if there's anything. We just reviewed the major features, and then we're now talking about if there's anything the devs want to highlight specifically that wasn't covered.
Yeah, I think we've covered all the important stuff now. But if there's anything else anyone would like to mention, can do.
I was pinging everyone on Discord to come look at the stream because we don't have that many concurrent viewers, so thought that might help. As usually we do. Someone remembers to ping everyone that the stream is starting.
The stream will not continue until we have X viewers.
Yeah, I think we got one more concurrent viewer from that ping. By the way,
screen will not
chat, is my mic sounding better now or the same? I
It
turned
is.
on one extra option in my microphone noise reduction thing.
I think your microphone was perfectly fine the whole time.
Okay, you sound fine.
Yeah, I mean, Discord probably has some kind of automatic filtering or something, because like 100% of the time when there's something wrong with my mic, it is purely on the stream but never on Discord.
Yeah, that sounds crisp to me. So, I'm sure it's just YouTube acting up in a weird way on the stream, at least.
Folks in the chat, feel free to pipe up if it's incomprehensible.
Yeah.
We don't want to waste all yours time.
Okay. Someone says it's the tiniest bit fuzzy, but it's fine. So, good
Actually,
enough.
I forgot to click this one checkbox which puts my mic filter on the OBS recording tree. So right now, I think my mic should sound like it is filtered.
No,
for
you
the
sound right to me.
noise.
Stop.
Make mic not bad. Yes? No?
I mean,
Yeah.
let me share a screenshot. I'm looking at there's literally this checkbox, that lower checkbox enable that was not checked.
Huh.
It is literally
well.
make mic not sound bad checkbox.
That's the best we got, I guess. All the checks are checked.
As long as people could hear you beforehand and you weren't just
Yeah, I would
watching.
expect that people would say that say something if they couldn't hear me at all.
I want to suggest a new feature
Oh,
for
yeah,
Thrive.
you know,
Add a
no.
lag slider.
Henry, we can hear you.
An opt-out checkbox for the performance improvements.
I did put in a checkbox to disable the multi-threaded system running in case it is worse on someone's computer. Because I did put in a safeguard that if it determines that the number of available threads -1 auto evo is also running is less than, I think, 3 or 4, then it doesn't use the new feature at all.
Multi-threading can always be a challenge when you don't know how many threads your customer is working with, and more threads don't always make things faster.
I mean, in this Drive case, like I fought so much with that, because I think we are hitting something like a memory bandwidth issue or something like that, because like throwing more threads at it just makes them wait around more. Like I've read that the ECS architecture is really good for memory caching, but I guess the downside is that the game is now hitting kind of like this memory bus bandwidth limitation, maybe. So throwing more cores at the problem doesn't make it faster, because all the cores will be waiting for RAM to send more data to process.
So now that we've gone through all the features of the release, is it time to start answering some questions from the threads on the community forums?
Sounds good with me.
Yeah, I'll put the threads on screen. We had one person asking priority questions. Those are now on stream.
Okay. You want me to read them out loud? Oh, wow.
Well, if someone could, that would be excellent.
Yeah, we only got one post in the thread for priority questions. That's questions from those who are VIP supporters on Patreon. But they've left many questions in that one post. Are we going to
Let's see
answer
what
one of
they
them?
got.
Yeah. Okay, I can begin reading. So the first question is, what is your current plan regarding modification of cell organelles? I see only some of us have them, for example, or some of them have them, for example, the chemoreceptors, but do you have bigger plans that you want to share with us? I can cover that if anyone else has, anyone contribute. I'll begin by saying,
Yeah, go for it.
We have concepts on the development form, and I think, basically 90% of organelles will have some sort of modification. They won't be these huge, elaborate ones. The chemoreceptor one is kind of extensive in how it changes the function of the cell or the part, but other ones will have different things like, environmental tolerances being changed and more minute functions being changed rather than whole swings of function. And do I have a fire alarm going off? I do not have a fire alarm going off, but yeah, I don't. But yeah,
There is a quite a loud high pitched sound coming from your mic.
it might be a fan. 1 second.
Oh, nice. You have a good mic to pick that up.
Do we have a backup question asker and answerer?
I was going to add something onto that last question. What are the organelles that currently can be modified? So we've got the chemoreceptor, obviously, because you need to modify it to choose what you're actually detecting. The vacuole can now be modified to be specialized, so it's got double storage for one compound and no storage for all the others. I can't off the top of my head remember whether we have any others.
Is my mic better?
Oh, I do like the idea of specialized vacuoles.
Well, yeah, that's already in the game. Perhaps it should be more obvious. I think I made a PR ages ago to try and improve the visibility of organelles which can be modified in the editor, but I never actually followed through on that. Maybe that should be finished.
Well, the dream, of course, is that each organelle would have at least one upgrade for it, so it would be easier to make a GUI for showing what can't be upgraded. Because we need to actually come up with the upgrades and then the game.
Is my audio better a bit?
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, you sound good.
Okay, good. It was the fan. Okay. Does anyone else have any more input on number one?
Yeah, let's get focused again.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to question 2 if no one else has any contributions. Question 2 is, how complex do you plan to make the interaction between the player and the environment in which he is present? That's kind of a multifaceted question.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they mean by the interaction in this case. Do they mean the player's species and the environment? In which case, are they
Well,
talking about,
at
like,
this
dynamic
point, there's basically no interaction between the player and the environment.
Yeah, besides, affecting populations, there isn't really too much on that side. Like Titan mentioned, there's dynamic environments planned with differentiating compounds being influenced by microbes. And there's more, I think that'll be the primary function in the microbe stage where, the environment can actually be manipulated, at least on a simulation basis, because things are so abstract at this stage. But I think there are a few concepts regarding this, but none of them are really canon. So
I think in one direction we have a lot, things like light levels or even starving to death because there's no glucose is an interaction.
yeah.
I assume as far
right.
as expansion, we're looking in the opposite direction, how am I changing the environment rather than just the environment changing me. And we've had a few attempts at dynamic environment now. I believe there's currently a PR up for another one.
At this stage of life, the emphasis on the environment really is how does life influence the development of the atmosphere? Because when dynamic compounds are present or implemented, ideally there'd be no oxygen, different compound concentrations than what you might expect on a more mature planet. So, really, if there's any sort of manipulation of the environment, which there already are concepts planned for that, it's along that lines of just how can you influence the development of your planet.
Imagine a player trying to make oxygen as long as possible, just because you just don't want an oxygen planet for some reason.
Yeah, I think the free light will kind of be too much of an incentive for other plants or other species to give up, but that could be a cool way to kind of pace that progression, where you kind of limit how quickly oxygen is added to the atmosphere. Okay, sounds like number 2 is settled, so I can read number 3. Is there a plan to add more different types of materials to the game, or is everything set in stone and unchangeable, at least in the single cell stage? By material, I assume that means, compounds and things like that.
I interpreted that as membranes.
Oh,
I
could be wrong.
probably guess that it
materials
is,
Could be
could mean
anything,
many
I
things.
think.
it is compounds. I read on the forums that Doom Lightning actually uses a translator to write their posts, so that's probably why the terms don't always match up with what we expect.
Okay. Well, we can answer both interpretations. For the membranes, we're pretty much set. Those are all feasible ones. By the way, if I'm taking over the questions too much and someone has something they want to contribute, just tell me to shut up for a second. But yeah, membranes are pretty concluded. Compounds, we're very, I don't want to say we're set, but we kind of have to be very, very stoic with what we implement, because Harlenen mentions that the more compounds you add, the more the computer has to basically think about simulate where each compound cloud is. So if we do implement new compounds, it's either one or the revision of already existing ones, if anything else.
Yeah, adding new stuff just is a new layer of complication, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would
every
think-
new compound added. We need to think in some way about its interaction with every other compound that's added.
Yeah, that and Harlena mentioned on the forums that there's certain numbers of compounds you could have before it has to have another check on everything, I guess. If we add any other compound, I would think it would have to do with the anoxygenic environment early in the game, in case we don't have good alternative proteins that interact with existing compounds in the game, at least how they act, but we'll see ultimately.
I don't know. I think we're pretty good there as far as yeah.
I think with environmental compounds in particular, if it's in the atmosphere, in the water rather, that's another thing to keep track of. Whereas you could have more compounds you make, because if you don't make it, you don't have to care about it. But at some point, there's only so much chemistry the average player wants to do in their head.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there definitely won't be a huge, addition of new things, I'd say. It's more just, catering certain things to existing gameplay at this point. So there's not going to be, phosphorus, sulfates, sulfides, just all added in at once, if anything. But who knows?
I think there's yeah, that there's a lot of compounds that we have already that we're perhaps not making great use of. I think we
Yeah.
should probably do stuff with those first, like stuff with the dynamic compounds, so atmospheric compounds changing depending on the patch. That would lead to a
Yeah,
lot of variants.
absolutely.
That's kind of what Titan was mentioning with their post about differentiating gameplay a bit. So that could be, instead of just adding more
exactly.
compounds, it could be distinguishing gameplay for each compound, which is an exciting line of thinking. Okay, I guess we can move on to question 4. We're on question 4, right? That was question 3 we just answered.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Question 4 is, let's talk about the distant future that you managed to release version 1.0 for the first time with a complete version of the single cell stage and some other remnants of the following stages. What do you think will happen after this? Hypothetically, how do you expect the community to react when you cross this achievement line? Huh, that's a good question.
Oh yeah, that's spicy.
I think all the fans will be very excited and celebrating, but I'm not sure if that has any kind of like wide appeal in terms of like marketing game. It's more like expect that once we have like the aware stage done, like when we have funny looking creatures walking around, that would be like the optimal time for people to make TikToks about the game. That would really blow things up.
I don't like the implication of crossing it the first time. Like, we're going to have to go back and redo 1.0.0 a few times.
Oh, hell no.
Oh yeah, hell no.
I think, I'll go ahead.
We're not ever going to leave the previous stages alone. I'm sure, even once we pass the 1.0 threshold, which denotes, a complete microbe stage, we're still going to be going back and, modifying some things with the microbe stage.
And every time we make a new microbe PR, it just resets the version to 1.0.0.
Maybe we should avoid that.
Oh, that's what we're going to avoid.
Yeah, obviously, it's never going to be completely finished, but, we have a point at which we can say, okay, we're done when it comes to mechanics in the microbe stage, and anything else is just, up to, like, volunteer contributions, I'd say. Oh, go ahead if you're going to say something.
I was just, in case anyone was wondering, 1.0 denotes the completion of everything that's on the microbe release roadmap on the wiki. So that's kind of the set of features that we've designated constitute a complete microbe stage. And once those are all complete, we're saying, yeah, that's going to be version 1.0. So that, we don't know exactly how many versions it's going to take to get there. But they are, everything is all laid out on that one wiki page, which I will find and link in the YouTube chat now.
As to the original question, I think, there will be some sort of benefit, of course, because, we can actually say we completed the stage when the whole reputation of Thrive as of now was just not even having one stage finished of this huge, extensive game. But like Harlan said, I don't think, the TikToks and the Vine, or not the Vines, Jesus. The TikToks will come out until something huge gets developed, like the Aware stage.
We invent time travel and go back and add Thrive to Vine.
Easy.
Thrive takes so long, it goes into the next iteration of the universe, then.
Vine comes up again.
But now it doesn't run on Windows 95, so it's all for a waste.
Huh.
Yeah, it might be faster to invent a time machine than to complete Thrive without it.
Okay, so if no one else has anything to contribute, we'll go to question 5. How far do you think to advance with the microbial phase? Are there several places where you think you could be improved or added / expanded to at this stage? Yeah, we have a roadmap.
Yeah, I think actually. Oliver foresaw this question and posted the roadmap already, so...
well, for what it's worth, I didn't actually, so that's just some luck there. Probably just, questions in a similar area. But
Yeah.
I think we've covered that.
The priority is making sure things on the roadmap are implemented, and then, volunteers can go back and add. Is that waffle? What the hell? Can add the more additional depth and features like Titan wants to do. So, yeah, the roadmap. That's a cool mod. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, I want to know whether the models that are in that mod, that's relating to the image that's been posted in our chat, I want to know whether those were created by the person themselves or whether they're just taken from some library of models somewhere. I would assume the latter, but
I read the forum post announcing that mod, but I don't think it had that info in it. Someone could ask on the forum thread where the models are from.
Yeah. Okay.
Make fun mods, people. We notice. We like it.
Yeah, we do. Question 6. If no one else has anyone to contribute. Some organelles can participate in several different processes. A known example is that mitochondria are involved in heat production, but something that is not known is that it is also involved in the process of apoptosis, cell death. Do you plan to expand on this, simplify things, or not join them? And then they mentioned peroxisomes there. That involves the heat production. That's a planned organelle upgrade, I know, because, they're relevant to the environmental tolerance discussion. But, besides that, a lot of this will be covered by upgrades, I think, where it comes to accentuating a certain feature of organelle.
That's a good point. I was going to say that this is some over detail that we are going to omit, but that's actually a pretty good inspiration for coming up with upgrades for Organelle.
Yeah, the way we think of upgrades now, by the way, to the people in the community, there's either a variant, which is kind of altering the function of this microbe itself, organelle itself, and then there's modifications, which kind of emphasizes a certain function of organelle that's already existing. So, for example, a variant could be create more heat from a mitochondria, but a modification could be create more heat from a mitochondria, but a variant could be create a hydrogenosome, which makes a mitochondria not oxygenic. So that's the way we think of upgrades as of now, which could capture a lot of the functions we see in this question. Okay, if anyone has someone to contribute to that, stop me, but I'll go on with question 7 now. Theoretically, considering the number of registered people who contribute to the game and the number of people who do work on the game itself, who do you think are the biggest contributors to the progress of the game? Oh, I know my answer. Is this the people who contribute and spread awareness of the game to the general public, bring new contributors to the game, or are these the people who actually work on the game itself and help make the game a reality?
I mean, we're all in agreement it's Hero Lanen, right?
Yeah.
I mean, single-handedly going through multiple rewrites of the game on multiple occasions.
But we need to consider that for the past 2 years, I've only been able to be as active on Drive thanks to all of the patrons and people who bought the game on Steam.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
People who made that possible by growing the Drive community to get more people even a bit interested in the game to maybe financially back it up a little bit. Those help quite a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you suggesting it's time to plug the Patreon and Steam release?
Ooh. Yeah, let's go.
Thrive is available. Thrive is available for free via our custom launcher, or you can get it on Steam if you want to pay to contribute towards development. You can also support us on Patreon, and there are various reward tiers on there. You get access to dev builds early as they happen, and of course you have the knowledge that you're contributing to Herolane and being able to work on the game full time, which is far and away the biggest, I guess the biggest factor in the game being developed quickly. So thank you all to everyone who does so, and if you haven't already, please consider supporting us via one of those methods.
Itch.io also exists.
It does, yes. Another way for you to purchase the game if you wish to.
Yes, it technically exists, and technically some people know about it's existing. Oh, and
Also,
of course, if
I'll go
you
ahead.
can't financially support the game and you still want to help, you can, of course, spread the word around. Or if you have game development skills, you can make the game. As Thrive is open source, anyone can get the source code and make changes to it, and they send those back to us for review.
I'd also like to reference our oldest, not in age, but in being with Thrive, our oldest developer, Oliver, at this point, who has been really important for spreading
not
the
because
word.
I've been here from the start, but I've just somehow never disappeared.
Yeah. His video, especially recently, has been really huge in kind of getting a lot of voices in here. But he has the longest, I guess, institutional knowledge of all versions of Thrive, so that's very useful. Okay, does anyone else have any shout-outs to team members, or we covered it?
I'd personally like to shout out Titan, who provided most of the more major and flashy features for this release, and who started working on the code for the game pretty recently, I think.
Yeah, he's done a great job of just quickly catching up.
Well, for this release, even though Herolane has been working on the performance improvements, which are definitely important as well, I guess the attention-grabbing features are all Titans this time.
Yeah, those are the things that people will notice more. Or well, I guess the previous release had such good performance fixes that people did notice those. But now that the performance was already pretty good, making it a bit better still is not going to be as impactful.
People keep wanting me to say glucose. I'm concerned at the number of people who are asking for that, but there we go.
What? That's a very geeky comment that's only unique to this community, I feel like.
You have secured your place in history.
For the record, I was trying to imitate Homer Simpson, but with glucose instead of donuts.
I never watched Simpsons, so I had to pick it up. Also, I'd like to nominate Tim. One, I think his work in Auto Evo will be really important in the future. But two, he contributed one of the best memes we've had in this community very recently when it comes to yelling at grass. So I think that's a very important contribution too, as well.
Grass.
Do we have a clip of yelling at grass that we can post for people to enjoy?
There it is.
All right, audience, just click on that through your screen.
I have probably spent hours in the last.
And then I don't have to do the rant all over again. It's great.
I'll play it on. People should be
I
able
have
to
probably
hear.
spent hours in the last 2 years just staring at lawns, wondering how they can exist. I mean, look at this. Why are these two plants next to each other? How could they possibly have different ecological niches? They're 2 inches away from each other. Why isn't one of you extinct?
Okay, video over now.
Are we all enlightened now?
Okay. I think that covers the question. And, oh, go ahead.
I did get a lot of very interesting speculation on why that actually is. I do like that passion did lead to some synthesis of new ideas and actual curiosity. Oliver, I don't know if your glucose comment gave you more wisdom about glucose, but I hope our
No, it wasn't as
seeds are
productive in that regard, I'm afraid.
Ha!
You've got me beaten there.
I think that's just the ultimate question we're trying to answer in a way with Auto Evo. So, yeah.
Why
very
does stuff
introspective.
exist?
Why is lawns?
Yeah, why are there different grasses? They look the same.
It actually started with a duck when I was first thinking about Auto Evo because I was looking at like basic herbivores and I saw a duck in the park and I'm like, how is that the minimum viable thing to eat pond scum? Like, why are the feathers there and the wings and all the other stuff? And that's when I kind of turned to grass and I was like, wait a second, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. That is the question we're trying to answer.
Science, not even once.
Okay, we're finished with the priority questions, right?
Yeah, I think we can take the first non-priority question and then look at chat a bit.
Okay. Okay, so the first one is on what will the development team focus on in the next update? More content for cellular stage or improvements on multicellular and everything after that? Well, I'll confirm that we are focused on the microbe stage. But beyond that, it depends on each developer, what they want.
This question asker actually remembered to ask this question because usually we remember to talk about what's the next is going to have, but I think we forgot this time, so this time it's actually good that someone asked.
Yeah,
Asked
I
the
guess
plans, and as for me, I've been talking about this for a while, but the next release will be the huge leap to Godot 4. And the next release will happen as soon as I've completed that work. I estimate it will take like 1 to 2 months. Basically, it will be so huge change that will make other feature development harder. So might be another release with very few new features, unless some other people happen to contribute a few features while I'm struggling with the massive changes needed.
I know Titan is already working on some new things, and they've just posted sprinting Thrivopedia extensions and it's really hard to say, thermosynthesis extension. So for the thermosynthesis, I'm excited to see what happens with that, because it's going to change the way that it currently works. In that, currently you just sit around in a hot patch and it's essentially free energy, whereas I assume the intention with Titan's changes is to make it a bit more active. You'd actually have to move between gradients to generate energy from heat, so that'd be quite cool.
Yeah, I think so. Let's just hope that the leap to Godot 4 doesn't make all of the other features that are partially complete or already complete a nightmare to get working with the new version and merged in the code.
I know when
I
I
admit
was
it scares me.
Sorry.
That was my whole statement.
Oh. I was just gonna say, I know when I was working on the Thrivopedia stuff, there was some things that came up that were in the Godot 4 documentation, but not Godot 3. And I was like, I wish we were using Godot 4 right now. Like lists in BB code, you can't do them. In Godot 3, you can in Godot 4. So I think that, there'll be a lot of kind of development quality of life and subsequently kind of improvements to user experience, changes that come with Godot 4.
Yeah, I already have quite many ideas in my head that I need to not work on because they will be much better or only possible once Godot 4 is used. So I'll be able to finally clear a bit of my mental backlog of things that were kind of plausible, but not really before the switch to God of War. So I think this timing is about right when it's becoming way too painful to wait around until God of War is improved even more.
I know, like Game Dungeon said, God of War has a lot of graphics improvements, so it might be worthwhile once that's finished to ping the graphics team and say, hey guys, God of War is here, so have some fun. Should be a bit easier. Okay. Anything else for my question? Okay, I guess not. Oh, we should. Someone said we should go to the. Are we doing one forum question and then one chat question, or 2, 1, or how are we going about that?
I believe we usually just go through everything on the forum first, right?
Well,
Since
I mean, lately
quite
we've
time.
been doing one from each, like alternating
Okay.
to keep up stream engagement a bit. So I think we could maybe take one or maybe even two
Okay.
chat questions now, or moving back to the forum questions.
Okay. The first question from the stream we have is from Bright. Have you heard of Rainworld?
I mean,
I have.
no one ever stops talking about it, so I have maybe seen one screenshot of what the game actually looks like. So
Yeah,
not
I've heard of
much
it, but
I can comment.
yeah. It has like procedural stuff, right? Procedural movement, I think.
I think so, and I think AI is really good or something. I
Oh.
can't even remember, but seems all the Rainworld fans are on a quest to make sure everyone knows that the game exists.
Yeah.
I know that one of our devs had something from Rainworld as their avatar at one time, but they're no longer with us. So, but yeah, if they were here to answer, I'm sure they would.
Okay. Back to the forums. Will non-eukaryotes be able to bind and make clumps and chains and such? Oh, like what are they called? Cyanobacteria. I think obviously it's a possibility, but it would also have to be nerfed or at least functionally different in a way to make it different from the more traditional or like the currently implemented eukaryotic bonding.
Yeah, it's a plausible feature, but it's not on the roadmap, so we'll skip adding it unless someone is really passionate about it and designs the feature and babysits through development to ensure it gets added to the game.
Yeah. Okay, and then the next question from that post, it's how will diets work after the macroscopic stage? After the I assume they mean during the macroscopic stage. We need certain parts like in Spore. I put up a concept related to this where basically, obviously, first of all, it's a rough idea because we're still at the microscopic stage of things. But I think the basic idea is that you'll need to ingest a part, which is determined by what your mouth parts are. The proportion of things you can actually ingest, and then you digest it, which is dependent on the enzymes you have in your digestive system. So from that sort of thing, we kind of simulate bioavailability, how easy it is to break down certain nutrients, teeth, things like that. But obviously, it's all rough, not concrete. So.
So in summary, Drive is much more of a simulation of life rather than slapping on random parts that have checkboxes on them what they can do.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what we're getting at here.
then we can take the next chat question.
Okay, next chat question is from Illuminati42Z. Why is the flagellum angled upwards by default, thereby placing it makes you slow down?
Well, the rotation value of 0 means pointing forward. So that's why it is like that. And well, I guess it could start with like rotation towards the back, but then the pilus would need to have a different rotation. So it's just one very minor feature that someone would need to program a default orientation that can be set per organelle type.
Yeah, I have wondered about that because I know in original concepts, there was some indication of where the external organelles would be pointing when you place them in the editor. I suppose we kind of have that if they're not just the single hex at the center. But maybe.
Well, at least if you go to the membrane tab, you can see the appearance of your cell, and that should have like the same graphics as the gameplay, so it shows you which direction the thing will actually point.
Okay, I'll move on to the next forum question. Cast96 asks, what was the hardest part of creating this update?
For me personally, it was trying to make the multi-threaded simulation actually faster than not using it. That took me like two weeks and a bunch of iterations of the code to get that right. But I'm pretty happy now that enabling the threaded simulation gives you like, I think something like 15 or 20% performance over not using the multi-threaded simulation. So the end I got it working, but it was pretty annoying and nerve-wracking to try to get it to work, and starting to think that maybe it is not possible at all, but luckily I managed to get a bit more performance out with that feature.
And Tado mentions it's Fog War for him, so. I know Game Dungeon, he kind of was getting annoyed at some parts from his Auto Evo rework, although that's not in the game yet, so that's behind the scenes. Oliver, were you about to say something?
I was just going to say, so Heralainen, says his feature was the hardest part, and Titan says his feature was the hardest part. I don't think you're really going to get an objective answer to the question of what's the hardest part to add, at least in this case.
I mean, it's of course subjective, because like if you had swapped us around and Titan needed to do the features I did, and I had to do Titan's features, like I think I could have knocked all of those features out in like an afternoon. So this is, I don't mean to like say that someone's other skills are not like good enough or something like that, but just that I'm so more experienced with the code base that I basically almost immediately would have known what I need to modify in the code, just to do those changes and test it myself, and it's like just a few hours to do the changes. And well, this is based on the me reviewing the pull request code to make sure I understood all the changes and what needed to be done. I estimated based on that how long it would have taken me to find those corner cases and such.
I think that other people's features were way tougher than the stuff I did this release.
What did you do this release?
Nothing.
Oh, okay. I was making sure I got it.
I was just staying silent and waiting for someone to ask me.
Yeah, I was just clarifying. I didn't want to make sure that I wanted to make sure you actually had something, you know. Okay. With this next question,
That's called lining up a joke, hoping someone catches.
I think I was
It would
feeding
have been
into it.
super awkward if everyone just thought I did something and didn't want to say anything.
Yeah. Okay, next question from Cast96. What are the most things in Thrive of everyone talking in the stream, such as features or other things even? I'm not sure I understand fully.
Does that mean what do people talk about most on stream about Thrive?
We can manipulate
do they
the answer
mean
by
on
talking
stream or
about
in the
something a lot.
comments?
Okay, go ahead. We talk a lot about graphics programmers on the game, or on the stream.
And we
I don't know much.
also answer the standard questions each time. What's in the next release? What's still planned for the microbe stage? Some random question about some far future stage we cannot answer accurately yet. Asking about some phenomenon on Earth and whether it can be added to the game. And then some random Thrive meme question about like sentient plants or something like that.
Or space whales.
Yeah, I think those 5 things cover basically almost all of the questions that get asked.
Yeah, that's all we talk about basically. If that wasn't the question that you wanted to be answered, you can message me on the community forums and I'll give a reply to a different worded question. Cast96. Okay, let's go to the... Oh, thank you. Just a floating eye asks, are biomes randomized on Thrive, or is it still just locations and biomes will always be the same? I remember seeing a mod that slightly changes biome values, but is outdated now. They stay the same, basically, as of now.
Yeah, the dynamic compound production and consumption thing hasn't been managed to be completed. The developer who started that has now disappeared, so this might be a new cursed feature we have found that will eat up developers until maybe finally done at some point.
I think the only thing that isn't 100% predetermined for patches is the light level in some of them. So some of them have variable depth and then variable light level as a result of that.
Yeah, that's probably actually I remember something in the code about that, so very plausible.
But yeah, apart from that, I'm pretty sure they are just all the templates for the patch values.
Yeah, currently the only thing that changes are the arrangement of patches and, arrangement of patches. But eventually compounds will probably change, or compounds will change, environmental factors will change, and the connections between patches will likely change. Okay. Next question on the forums. How many upgrade options per Organelle can we expect? Are there any other customizations of Organelles going to be added other than the upgrade choices? We don't have a set number we're aiming for each part. It depends on how ubiquitous they are and how diverse in function they are. Maybe 2 is a safe guess per Organelle, but even then there's no guarantee. So
I mean, I'd be happy with having 1 upgrade for each Organelle.
You said 1 per Organelle?
Yeah, at least something that like
the
modify menu would be available for each Organelle, even if there's like not really very important things to be made there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably better, like baseline, I guess. And as for any other customization Organelles going to be added other than upgrade choices, I assume they mean are there any other other customization options besides just tweaking upgrades and parameters. I think, conceptually, the idea is that some Organelles will change their graphics depending on the slider and their variant, but obviously that depends on how many graphics teams members there are at a given time whenever these features are being worked on. So that depends on availability.
Did I see someone trying to add a modification to the flagellum so that it could be extended or widened? And I seem to remember someone said that the model didn't actually look very good when it was stretched.
Yeah, I think someone said on Discord that when you apply like shading on one axis to the flagellum, it just doesn't look. So like that would be the impact, that if we have upgrades that change the visuals of the organelles, we either need someone to model all of those options, or we need to get vehicle models that a graphics programmer could dynamically apply things like flagellum tail length. Might be a good, because we can't have like 50 different models for it.
Yeah.
But conceptually, I'd like to keep all organelle variation within the upgrade system. So no parallel systems, please. Would make things so much more complex.
You said no what, please?
Like no a parallel system, like if we have the organelle upgrade system and then someone adds like a separate system to, like, I don't know what you could do, maybe pick like a color per organelle or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Like that would be then two systems. You would have like the upgrade modify menu, and then you have second modify menu for an organelle. I don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
Like what chemoreceptors have?
I mean, that is an upgrade. The upgrade system is flexible, so technically chemoreceptor selecting what it detects, it applies that data as an upgrade to the organelle.
Huh, I didn't know that. So the chemoreceptor has infinity upgrades. Because you can always change the like color line a little bit.
Yeah.
That's really going to throw off the average.
We can advertise a mean value of infinity upgrades per organelle.
Well, technically you
Right.
would need to count how many distinct colors you can get from 24-bit RGB values, so that's the number of upgrades it has.
Curse you, finite memory.
Moving on to a chat question. Wait. Yeah, a chat question. Bright asks, how will you expand the society stage? We rarely even have a society stage to expand, is the official answer, I'd say.
Well, I mean, we have the prototype now.
Yeah, the prototype. We'll definitely make it an actual game at some point beyond a prototype. And beyond that, we don't really have anything concrete.
I think there's a few key details on the our wiki about that stage. Like especially considering the transition points, how that stage starts and how it ends. Considering those, like we can imagine some real-time strategy, gameplay, and technology development and combat and stuff like that to be read there.
Yeah, and on the forums we talk about how, we can't just focus on being a traditional kind of Civi game, because, we get blown out of the water, basically, if we try to put in that much details. But the emphasis will be on how your different traits will kind of influence your society's development. So we have that line of thinking, at least.
I mean, we can probably dump in as much complexity as in Civ, but getting that actually balanced, playable, and explained to the player, that's like the difficult part. So we'll probably need to carefully add parts to the society stage in order to be able to polish them and get some game design balance applied to them. Stuff like that.
Yeah. Also, just make it more consistent with the rest of the stages in a way. Okay. We'll go to the next community forum question if no one else has any contributions. What do you think about sulfur-based photosynthesis? There's a formula right there. And do you think you could add it to the game? I had it on a concept for that. It's not officially, concrete or canon or, necessary right now. If I know it's anoxygenic or like it doesn't produce oxygen, I believe. So that could be a, use case for implementing it, but, as Game Dungeon says, it's not possible right now. And also it's, it might not be necessary. So we'll see how the anoxygenic portion of the game develops and if we find a need to implement that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's a good part. I think when we'll have more like patch variety, could have some service patches that have sulfur available to make this an option. But
yeah, and before oxygen was really present, sulfur was kind of very common on the surface of the oceans, I believe, which
that would actually be pretty interesting to simulate because I think the great oxygenation event is on the roadmap, so that is a feature thing we could have is that there's sulfur everywhere at the start, but when oxygen comes around, it starts to go away.
Yeah. Because it interacts, and also iron's the same way too, where there's a lot more iron near the surfaces than there were after the oxygenation, because obviously it all wasted away. So when dynamic patches and environments get implemented, there could be a use case for, anoxygenic photosynthesis, but it depends on what we decide to do realistically. We probably have to focus on, implementing or focus on balancing out a anoxygenic respiration method in the first place before we talk about that. Oh, look who just joined.
Hey.
Welcome.
I just so happened to be on the lunch break.
So you got 30 minutes or so?
Hey, yeah, something like that.
Okay. We just talked about sulfur-based photosynthesis, if you want to contribute anything to that.
That's not something I'm well versed in, so not really.
Okay.
So it wasn't a summoning spell for you then?
Yeah. Okay. We can move on to the next question in the posts. By the way, this is from Mr. 42. I forgot to mention the name, but when do you plan to add salt to the game? We have salt models, and salinity might be a factor, but
I still need to get means to post those things. I want them so badly. Looks so nice.
Yeah. Yeah, the models look nice, and I think it'll be more of a feature in the macroscopic stage because it's a bit more. Sorry, my mind's scattered right now. I think it's more of a feature to implement in the macroscopic stage rather than the south stage because there's not really that much variance across patches this big when it comes to salinity levels, I think. So it's more of a future feature.
Yeah, my initial thought was the same, that like we'll probably model something like salt balance and other like key real life staying alive stuff for the macroscopic stage, so it'd be more important there.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, go ahead. I wasn't saying anything. I just said yeah.
The interesting thing is ice, when it forms, it begins to push out any kind of other material out of the structure of the water. So if you got ice formation in the saltwater sea, it'll actually push that salt out into the surrounding water and form a bit of a hypersaline solution in proximity of the forming ice. So that's one thing to keep in mind when it comes to ice flows. Another thing is colder regions tend to have higher salinity due to the same reason. As ice forms, the salinity of the surrounding water will increase overall. And the opposite happens when precipitation occurs. and when ice melts.
That's part of the reason why the deep waters don't freeze too, I think, because it's, one, pressure, but two, the salinity too. So it makes it freezing a bit colder than it usually is.
The salinity increases the density of the water in a combination with
Yeah.
the colder temperatures.
Okay,
Pretty
cool.
cool
So,
stuff.
yeah, there's a good answer right there.
You probably wouldn't be seeing major variants within the patch itself, with the exceptions of like if we wanted ice to have a bit of a hypersaline proximity effect.
Yeah, probably. Okay, next
I would-
question from the... Oh, go ahead.
I would love to watch an ice crystal form and thrive. I would not love to animate that.
Ask
If
Nuns.
anyone would love to animate that, please join the team.
Yeah, absolutely.
We do have some nice snowflake models also made by Moons, which I would really like to see in the game someday. Moons, please come back. Moons.
Sorry, your audio kind of cut off there at the end.
I was just talking about the snowflake model that Moons made,
Oh, yeah.
and I'm just begging, crying and begging for them to come back.
Yeah, for real. Okay. Carl Ido on the chat says, what is the most important core gameplay element that's missing from the micro stage right now? I think that depends on who you're asking. I think my answer would be the environmental tolerances, because that kind of serves as the bound of gameplay. It'll make, expansion change a lot in terms of patch migration and things like that.
That is an increasingly large one. After we're running into larger amounts of situations where, yeah, it sure would be nice if conditions were difficult.
Yeah. Also, as Aaron mentions, the dynamic environments, it would really improve the playability and kind of make the game more realistic. So that's another aspect of things, I think.
Hopefully one day a developer survives that.
The main line nature feature would actually be more on the accessibility side of things. I'd really love to see the editor helper concept brought to light soon, because that will be, I think, the final big thing to really make the game accessible and easy to learn for players. In combination with the encyclopedia, which y'all have done a great job with, as well as all the patch notes and stuff like that in the tutorial.
Yeah,
I
there's
think-
definitely more scope for increasing the clarity and visibility of things for the player. We still get lots of comments saying the game is too confusing.
Yeah, so I think the editor helper will be that final push to really get it to where we need to be. If you're familiar with that concept, that is.
Which one? Sorry?
The editor helper, which if you're familiar with Kerbal Space Program, imagine the helper they have in that where, like, let's say you forgot to put batteries on your ship. It'll say, hey, there's no batteries on your ship. You should do that. Things like that.
Yeah.
There's no batteries in this cell. God.
The cell has no jet fuel. What are you doing?
It can't melt still be there. I messed that up, didn't
Oh, no.
I?
Uh-oh.
You all know what I meant to say.
Yeah, we do. Also, along the lines is I think the graphical representation of the report you get after every trip to the editor, because now it's just names on a sheet. But now it actually helps that you can hover your mouse over it and then you can see the graphical image of the cell. So. Okay. If no one else has anything to contribute, I'll go back to the forums. 31415 asks, what do you think is the most exciting / fun feature that will come before version 1.0? I think any of the above we discussed just now.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
maybe we'll answer the second question then.
Oliver, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say we spoke about what's the biggest feature, but that may not necessarily be the most fun or exciting feature still to come.
Yeah. I guess the second part of that question, what will be the hardest feature to add to the current roadmap?
I guess a programming perspective is probably the right way to look at this. I just looked at the roadmap, and well, the good news is that I found 2 things that were already done and removed them from the roadmap. But for the hardest things, I think like the dynamic compound production is going to be really difficult to balance and get right.
Anything that relates to the simulation is likely to be difficult.
Yeah, and then there's quite many auto-evo corner cases, which I think I'll need to handle by dedicating multiple weeks to auto-evo to load it all into my brain again and try to fix all of these weird cases. And then there's of course the final boss in the 0.9 versions, these graphics programming things like making 3D membranes and making the clouds look better. And yeah, I guess intercellular matrix graphics. Like these are the graphics programming things that I don't know how to like really do. So consider those to be the most hazardous, because I have pretty good idea fitting any of the other roadmap items or how I can do that. But for those are, I expect them to be very painful, or I'll just beg everyone to let me take them off the roadmap if no graphics programming steps up to do them.
If anyone in the community knows a graphics programmer, send them our way, and we'd be forever grateful.
Particularly if it's you.
Yeah. Okay. So if no one else has to contribute to that, going back to the chat, Carl Ito asks again, do upgrade unlock conditions also affect AI species? We said no, right?
Yeah, they do not.
Yeah.
Like conceptually, it's just to give the player some more fun, but like trying to track all of those stats for the AI and modifying the mutations code, that's like, I'd say basically a no-go. And so I'm really happy that the design works even without the AI species being limited that way. And of course the AI species already weren't limited by the mutation point limits set for the player, so it's not fundamentally that big of a change that the AI doesn't care about the unlock conditions.
It would also incentivize non-realistic behavior, where the AI rushes to the surfaces to get the thermostat or the thylakoids, for example, which is already enough of a problem as it is. Okay. Going back to the forums, the stream is buffering for me, so let me pull it up on my end. If someone wants to read it for now, if they see it, then they can go
I
ahead.
just rolled up on the stream. But I guess I can read the question from short text there. Yeah, the first question is, are you more motivated when working on the prototypes or for working on the cell stage and maybe the multicellular stage? I don't know if that counts as a prototype. I can answer the second part that multicellular counts entirely as a prototype, because technically you get the prototype warning pop-up before you get there. Anyone else want to pitch in for the first part?
I think prototypes are interesting because they help kind of add possibilities they help you explore possibilities without going through the whole process of, making sure every single thing works properly, which is the use of something like, Tim's branch. But yeah, that's at least my contribution.
Having had the experience of doing all the current prototypes, I'm not going to be doing prototypes again for a while. Especially as literally everyone on Steam completely hated the prototypes. Their existence.
Well, that was only
everyone.
the people who commented, though. I'm sure lots of people enjoyed them.
Well, I mean, but I noticed that on our community forums and Discord, like basically no one hated the prototype. But on Steam, like everyone, like except like 1 or 2 guys hated them. So like the ratios, like favor and against, like they're completely different in the different parts of the Thrive community.
I sometimes wonder. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. I sometimes wonder if that's a difference in perspective, that, if you've been in the community and you know what's going on, you kind of understand that exploratory nature of the prototypes, whereas if you're on Steam, maybe it just kind of looked like we rushed to the end and went, ha, we finished Thrive, it's squares. You're welcome.
Yeah, I think Steam users are a lot more jaded and kind of like depressed because they have seen multiple projects that just kind of skim to the end and not add anything. So they promise to be these huge things, whereas there's more of that buy-in from the community on the Discord and on the forums, where they're like, okay, we know that this is a, as Harlan said, exploratory effort. So there's more of that buy-in from them rather than from the Steam users who are all just sad people who are disappointed from many games.
That's definitely plausible, but one fun thing is that ever since doing the prototypes and now refusing to work on the prototypes again, I've seen actually a few people on Steam complain that why the prototypes aren't being advanced now. So I guess that will balance out the sentiment at some point.
Well, yeah, again, I think it's just selection bias to the people who are commenting because they're annoyed in both cases.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the same people both times.
Okay. I can see the questions now, so I can read number 2. What's your guys' favorite piece of Thrive-related art? It can be fan art, concept art, in-game assets, or whatever. The new intro is really nice. I don't know about anyone else's favorites.
Definitely the disturbance for me, which has just been posted in the chat.
It's a really low quality disturbance image. That is pretty disturbing how it has that border thing around.
Disturbing, huh?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and Uniao's work, like Aaron mentioned, kind of defined for the vision, I feel like, for Thrive in a way. And Naratiza stuff, I think, too. There we go. Okay, I'll move on to the next chat question. 50 Gens, who's also a community forum member, mentions or asks, can thermosynthesis be used for carbon fixation? Honestly, I'm not sure if anyone else is sure about this.
I think Game Dungeon mentioned Rubisco in reply to that.
Oh, okay.
Was that in reply to something else? So if they can explain what they meant at that time, that would be helpful.
Yeah. There he is typing. Carbon fixation. Yep.
Okay, so carbon fixation is done by Rubisco. So yeah, presumably it won't really be tying into thermosynthesis.
Okay, yeah, there's the process explained by Game Dungeons, I guess.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
maybe get that in the next few releases. Like there's a initial version of the Rubik's Code done, but balancing it to make it work sensibly with all kinds of ATP sources seems to be a bit difficult.
Yeah, it just has to be done at this point, like Game Dungeon said. I had my issues with it, but it's better just put it in and see what the community thinks probably at this point. Okay. Going back, 50 gens again on the forums. I have a joke question. Will we be able to play as corporations? If yes, can we have this exact scene in Thrive, but with humans replacing the species we designed in the Japanese, replaced with some unintelligible sounds? I did not know that scene, and I don't think we've thought that far in terms of detail when it comes to corporations.
Well, I mean, we'll probably have different kinds of like government types, so
Yeah.
like probably one of them could be a corporate dystopia or something like that, where the government is replaced by corporation or something like that, which could be possible, but won't probably be like the first government type to be added to the game.
Yeah. Okay. If no one else has anything to contribute, we'll go to... That was the last community forum question, by the way. So from then on, we can talk about the live stream chat. And Great All 5 asks, how do you envision the transition from playing an individual to the more zoomed out play happening? For example, in a society stage, I assume. I know it's a long way off. I think that will come with, advancing social dynamics of your species, where rather than just, like in spore, throwing a bone up in the air and having it hit your head, it's more just you advance your communication with the species up until a point where you can maybe control multiple ones at the same time. And from there, it can evolve to a more tactical view. And that can tie into things like, insect casts and sociality, where organisms like that, they have access to that sort of things way earlier than most other organisms, but at the cost of some other things. So that's an interesting question. Okay, are there any more questions, or?
I'm sure there'll be some in the chat.
And now is the time to put questions in chat because we're going to read them.
Yep.
If they appear.
I think I could do the usual playing Thrive on stream now.
When you play Thrive, is it more like, I don't know, I guess less engaging for you since you're dealing with all like the kinks and everything all the time, or is it different?
I mean, there was that one stream where I debugged 2 bugs on the stream, so like I had the game paused in a debugger for like 10 minutes during the stream, but everyone else was still answering questions and stuff. Usually I find at least one major bug during the stream. This time there isn't like any... Well, I guess there's that one colony binding thing, and I guess I can show the new tutorials a bit.
Oh yeah.
There's these new nice icons in the... Anyway, I was talking that I finally found a fix for like 2 or 3 years old colony binding bug where when you stack more and more cells, they eventually attach at very weird angles, but I think now I finally came up the right math to correct that issue now, so there shouldn't be any more binding position weirdness.
Mm.
I'll probably not get so far in the game to be able to show that in 15 minutes, so I'll just show some basic gameplay.
Have some fun, yeah. Okay, looks like we have a question. I'm not fully sure how to pronounce your name, but I'll say Wladisla Gomulka asks, how do you think Thrive will look in 1 year forward? Does anyone have any reactions to that, or? Oh, I can say
the same, surely.
yeah, mostly the same, but with more features on the roadmap implemented, and maybe a bit more pretty because of Godot 4.
Yeah, so a year's time will probably be what, 3 or 4 releases. So yeah, with Godot 4, and then a few more things ticked off the roadmap. So just looking at it again now, some combat changes, more bits on the Thrivepedia. Yeah, just some of the things listed on the roadmap for the near future, but not too many of them.
Yeah.
Auto Evo ends up.
Go ahead.
Sorry. If Auto Evo again ends up getting any advances and we start getting some exotic or specialized cells, that might be visible at a glance. But I think that and any weird stuff we have to do to make Godot 4 work would probably be the most, looks different kind of changes.
Yeah. Okay, next question from Carl Ito is it possible for the AI to be the player in advancing to the layer stages, i.e. player species is tribal while AI civilization? Conceptually that should be something, but obviously in practice we probably have to limit that in a way or balance it out maybe. And currently I don't know if
You need
can
to
cells even
consider the time scales, because
yeah
once the player is too much behind, a single editor cycle will mean that they basically the other species will launch into space and ruin the environment and ascend all in one editor
Yeah.
cycle. So eventually you are like too far behind and you need to stop.
Yeah, I seem to remember the decision was made explicitly not to allow other species to advance stages faster than you.
Yeah, that's like the simpler, easier thing to do immediately.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
But it's definitely one of those questions that is so far in the future that we don't know for sure.
Well, what about multicellular stage? It's right there.
True. I mean, AI species currently can't become multicellular at all. So there's still some extra work to do on that before we reach
and
that stage.
no multicellular auto evo doesn't do anything, and species cannot split multicellular, so there literally can only be the player species.
That could be the most immediate way of representing that in the future. Oh yeah, and plants colonizing the land before the player, so that's probably an important feature too.
Well, land is in a different stage, so that's a little less scary
that's
because
true.
it's not like you start moving much faster. I think it's really that time that's the scary part.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, this tutorial sure is pretty difficult. It's telling me to try to engulf a member of this smaller species, but they are so much faster than I am, so...
Is the dev really not going to be able to complete the tutorial?
I mean,
It's a challenge.
Come on, man.
maybe the tutorial should only like point to non-alive things to
Species you
engulf.
could catch.
Yeah.
That just looks sad. The line is getting bigger and bigger. There's two blobs chasing each other.
The AI only thinks 3 times a second, so if you can get one running right at you, sometimes it won't think to turn around
I
in time.
almost hit one, but
Yeah, you almost cornered it with members of your own species there. So. I'm very invested in this now.
Yeah, me too. I'm not even looking at questions.
Sorry, stream. We're done with you now.
Yeah. Okay, I'll answer a question in the meantime.
Live gameplay.
50 Gens asks, if we lose the game, can we enter the spectating mode and see how the AI is doing? Oh, almost. I think
I did
spectating mode is a mod.
To show up on stream soon.
I think a general observation or spectator mode could definitely be very cool to see. It might be weird to kind of have act if you don't have direct input on how things develop. But yeah, I wouldn't say there's anything concrete planned for that right now in the markup stage, but especially in the macroscopic stage, that might be more relevant.
In games in the Auto Evo Explorer right now, like, could you give up on your game, open an Auto Evo Explorer, and then just click the generate button and see what happens? Because that might be the closest thing you could do.
Yeah.
I think you can go from the Auto Evo Explorer to a game, but you can't go the other way, right?
Yeah, I don't think there is such a feature.
Okay, I'm mixing up games.
Great Olaf asks in a follow-up to what question did they ask before? I forgot. Oh, transitions and going too far beyond the other species. They ask, what about, say, intentionally waiting out an extinction event? I like the idea of evolving in the ruins of a dead civ. That might be a layer of complexity too detailed as of now for how Thrive is trying to be. But that could be a feature where I think of in Civ where you can find these tribal areas where you can get technology. Something abstract like that could be represented, perhaps. But even then, we don't really know that far ahead.
Imagine Civ plays a whole other game of Civ with AIs to figure out where the ruins are in this game of Civ.
What?
I was just imagining if Civilization played a different game of Civilization to generate the ruins for your game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, not the most efficient solution there.
Yeah.
Although kind of similar to the way they do artifacts. So.
Oh, is it?
Well, yeah, the artifacts are from the current game as opposed to entirely new game. But yeah.
I forgot what artifacts were. 50 Gens asks, what if the AI develops faster than the player in society stage? The game ensures that society collapses due to a natural cause and turns into ruins. Huh. Maybe. Yeah, could be like the Bronze Age collapse and all that, but that's once again pretty far in the future to think about. I think we're up to date in questions.
I like how Hiralanen's cell is just a rectangle, basically. Maybe it's the resolution of the screen, but it looks like it's just a rectangle gradually like shuffling forwards.
With ominous music.
Yeah, I was thinking that this fits the Fallen Civilizations theme quite well.
You can pretend you're a rectangle growing in the waste of nuclear war or something.
Put in some roleplay.
Just for fun, I recompiled the native library in debug mode so I can play with the collision shapes on. I can actually now show how the big iron is now actually matching the collision shape in the game.
Oh yeah.
I noticed that the model was rotated like 90 degrees in Godot scene. So I undid that, so now the physics which uses just the base shape matches the visuals, but the rocks are rotated differently than in the previous.
It's a lot more precise.
Yeah, so hitboxes are actually accurate now, right?
Yeah, I think they are pretty much exactly the same. There isn't anything wrong with them. Well, other
I
than the
was
fact
wondering
that
for a
the
second what
hitbox
kind
needs
of
to
strange
be
membrane you had on.
scaled.
What was your question, Aaron?
Sorry. I was wondering for a second what kind of strange membrane you had equipped, and then I realized it was
Yeah.
just the debug.
This is the super secret developer only membrane.
There we
So
go.
you guys should
Someone was
join-
asking about new membranes earlier.
Yeah, exactly.
This is it.
You guys should join the dev team and you can get a whole other membrane.
Free skins.
Free skins.
Well,
Work for
actually,
us.
you need to compile the library yourself to get this exclusive
Yeah.
in. But then again, I guess I could upload the debug version again so people could download it. But I don't think anyone downloaded the previous native library debug version, so I didn't bother uploading the new one.
That's how we can get some more funding for the game. Release paid skins.
Well, I guess we technically have the paid early builds. Everyone on the dev builds Patreon tier can download literally any version of the game. Like if some developer like makes a half-broken version and uploads their code to the GitHub, then 20 minutes later there's a playable Drive version you can select through the launch. Because that's probably not very fun, so that's why we have the builds of the day. So versions picked by me that have associated patch notes and mostly stable gameplay.
Maybe the breakfast mod could be like a paid skin.
Oh, I guess I can also show the new feature where the fog of war feature that when I move I can see more stuff.
What's over there?
But when's the time to talk about loot boxes?
What would you get out of a loot box in Thrive, though?
Any
Unlock. This
Glucose.
organelle unlock. Like you get a random organelle and you get too many duplicates, then you can unlock the upgrades for that organelle.
Rubisco is loot box exclusive.
So either endosymbiosis or you have to pay for them. There we go. I like that model.
Maybe mitochondria were the original loot box.
Oh, maybe. Because they came. You might be on something, you know.
But the real loot box was the endosymbiosis along the way.
If it's in the microbe stage, it's always a microtransaction.
Oh, wow.
Both
Look at that.
excellent candidates for stream names. There we go.
Oh my god.
Iota.
I guess staring at lawns all days give you some wisdom when it comes to writing up words. Oh, Game Dungeon mentions DNA. Yeah, that's a loot box in a way.
Were those AI cells that have nucleus?
I think they
Evolved.
actually are.
Oh wow.
There's a nice bug going on where that thing that I have engulfed like lags behind one frame. That's going to be really annoying bug to fix. So
Mm.
I hope people don't notice that and report it so that I have to fix.
I mean, as long as you don't say it on stream in front of everybody.
Well, actually, last time I like highlighted some bug on stream, then no one like found it again. Told me so. Would be safe. It's basically a secret even if I say something on Drive stream.
You messed with the mutation rate before, or
I just went with the default settings. I didn't change.
wow?
That should be like pretty lucky or rare event.
Yeah, look at that.
For April Fools this year, can we re-release 0.3.4?
You think so?
Just maybe slap a few things on for an April Fool's version.
Oh, maybe.
I think not enough people have been asking for the classic cloud look, so I don't think that joke would like work. Because the way I see it is that like if people had been complaining about the cloud visuals, we could just release
That's true.
3.0 or 0.3.4, which had the best looking clouds, I think. Here's one of the small iron where I didn't do the same fix, so here the physics model is rotated differently than the graphics model, so but it's so small that no one will like really notice this until we get some graphics artists to fix this scale and rotation issues that are on the base model.
Thunk.
Is the stream supposed to be 2 hours long?
Yeah, usually I think if we have run out of questions, we can basically start thinking about ending.
Yeah, seems like people generally less questions coming in. So, all right. Well, thank you everyone for joining. Enjoy the new update. Give us feedback, please. And if you, oh my God, if you can consider it, maybe contribute to the Patreon, if you wish.
Yes.
Anything else?
Yeah. I'm just gonna say, go play Thrive.
Go play Thrive. Yeah, that's important.
Yeah, the new release.
Yeah, which is why we have this live stream.
Yes,
Tell
that's
people
enough,
Thrive exists.
enough showing this nice physics debug things. Anyway, do we
Anyone
have
have any?
like one last question to answer, because we're basically exactly at 2 hours.
Anyone have any questions?
One last lucky that person to ask the last question.
So what are we adding those underwater sieves?
Oh, okay.
No.
I had a
It had to happen.
Bye-bye, everyone.
see.
I don't think the
Oh.
stream's actually ended yet. He's just left.
He
Like,
just
Well, you
I didn't end it yet, but I guess no one has any burning questions left. So we can end the stream. I guess we already said that you should play the new version, but I'll also again let everyone know that like you can share the word about Drive, or you can join the team if you have programming skills, or you can purchase the game to give a tiny bit of financial support to make sure Drive can continue to be developed and evolve into more full game. So yeah,
we leave it there
I
then?
guess we can say bye now, and I'll end the stream.
Well, goodbye, everyone. Thank you for tuning in.